Hello, College of Wooster community, family, and friends. My name is Jordan Diggs.
Hi everyone, I'm Levi Jahoz.
This is Snapshots for Symposium. Today we were going to be going around campus talking to various seniors and seeing what they've done for their senior independent study project.
We hope you'll be able to experience this just like we are, through the lens, and let's go.
Yeah, right now we're at Eber Art Center and we're about to go talk to Morgan. So let's go.
Hi Morgan.
Hi.
So can you introduce yourself to the community?
Yeah, so my name is Morgan. I'm a senior here at the College of Wooster. I'm a double major in mathematics and studio art. This year I did my studio art IS. Last year I did a second IS project for my maths, so they're two completely separate projects.
Awesome. So can you just walk us through what you did in your senior IS?
Yeah, so for my senior IS, I wanted to do some art forms I was familiar with, but I also wanted to take advantage of the resources here and learn a completely new art form. So I really wanted to delve into leatherworking, so my IS this year is about this is that because it's deeply cultural. The leather comes all the way from the Moors into Spain, into South America. The design comes from the Native Americans, the designs come from adapting it to the culture, so I really wanted to be able to embrace that history. If you broke out of it, the fringes are so that when it rains it doesn't pool on the leather. The length of the leather itself is a little bit shorter than typical ones because when I work with horses I hop on and off a lot so that way I don't trip. The fringes at the bottom are to hide the marks as you're walking. So there's so much cultural pattern and history in each of the different pieces on here that I wanted to embrace. But I also wanted to tie it into what I already did. And so in addition to just the history and the leatherworking, I also wanted to do mine. So I grew up riding out west in Colorado in the dry desert. And so I wanted to do something that kind of represented the amount of time that it takes going into being a cowgirl. And so all of these pieces is handfuls of dirt that I brought from home, mixed in with some sagebrush with some horseshoes on it to kind of give the embrace of a trail. And while I made it using modern horseshoes, there's no reason that these same marks and the same print wouldn't have existed 400 years ago when we started riding horses up into the United States. So that's a brief snapshot of it.
Yeah, I'm impressed. What is the process in creating such a difficult piece of art here?
Yeah, I want to jump in because this is leather, and I know working with leather has to be hard, right?
Yeah, it does. I definitely have lots of scrapes on my hands. So I used a lot of, there's a ton of online resources and videos on just how to do leatherworking and the different tools. And so I just started experimenting last semester and I bought scrap pieces of I started playing with the patterns and stamps and building the techniques and watching a multitude of videos and seeing what I liked and what I didn't like. So there's definitely some techniques that were everyone does this, and I just never figured it out. So it's I'm not gonna do that. But a lot of trial and error, a lot of the fun thing about leather as opposed to painting is once you make a mark, you can't get rid of it. I can't just erase it and start over. So you have to have a lot of confidence with every mark that you're making. So that was really fun. You can't be hesitant. If you lightly hit it, it's not gonna show up. And so just I had to put pride into it as I was making it. And yeah, lots of trial and error, lots of time watching video.
I'm sure. So could you tell us an estimate of how much time it took to make this project?
The shops alone, not counting the background work that I put into it, I spent 24 hours in one weekend in Eber, and then probably another 30 hours throughout the week here just making these shops. No other project, just these.
Wow.
Did you face any other challenges?
Testing ahead of time. So for these, I got an inspiration from an artist named Priya McKenna. I saw some of her works that I thought were just beautiful pieces of photogram works, but I couldn't figure out how she did her pieces, and so I had a ton of trial and error of playing, do I put the objects on top of the paper? Do I have to put the paper on top of the objects? How much light do I restrict? Do I use a flashlight? Do I use my phone light? Do I do an overhead light? And so a lot of my trial and error was just figuring out how to make these. I had an idea in my soul of what I wanted, but I couldn't figure out how to put it on the paper until I made the first one, which looked something about this, and I knew that was what I wanted. The shops, the hard part was just figuring out the different designs that I wanted to do. So this pattern here at the bottom of the yoke, I took a photograph that my brother had taken of a mountain range in my county, and I abstracted it out, deciding what piece to put onto these two leather sides. So the flower design is not traditional, but that is an outline of a and leather pieces. So that's how I plan on incorporating it. But if I ever get the opportunity to get my master's in fine arts and teach it, I 100% will.
So whether it's for the people online or for people on campus, what message do you hope to share to the greater Wooster community, just like the world, like these pieces that you're making?
I want to tell people to do art. Pick up that trade. If you want to learn leatherworking, like the resources are out there. If you want to learn photography, the resources are out there. Don't sit there and limit yourself with like, oh, I think my future is going to be in math. I think my future is going to be in STEM. I think my future is in communications. Like, learn how to do art just for the joys of learning how to do art and sharing it with people. It doesn't need to be something that you're investing in for yourself. Just do it because you want to do it.
Yeah.
So, how does an art IS differ from like a normal written IS, you would say?
Yeah, so my second IS that I did last year was a normal written IS. I spent a lot of time researching for this paper, writing this paper, turning in this paper, and then I was done. This year, my paper, my little IS pen, everyone's like, congrats, you're done. You're not done yet. So the art exhibit is what takes up most of the committee. So I had Professor Milligan, Professor Kendall, and Professor Mangubi all helping me, with Milligan being my main advisor. And so I met with all of them a couple times to work on different techniques and get their ideas, but Milligan was my main one. And so there'd be a lot of times I come to her and I'd be like, okay, I know that I want to do this like photogram thing with the trails. Like I made this shoe and I like it, but I don't know where to go from here. And so we would talk through like building the trail. At one point we talked about building a show pattern, and I felt like that didn't really fit the story, but I like the idea of this continuous trail. I talked with her about like how do I bring this back to my photography, because that's my main medium as an artist. And so there's a lot of like.
If you were to describe your essence or aesthetic as an artist, what would you describe yourself as?
That's a really tough question.
It really is.
So I have some memory issues, and I can't picture it's capturing those moments like visually in the shops. It's capturing moments of the history, and so I inspire with their own story as well, which is why I hate titling pieces. Because just because I had my story that I put into it doesn't mean you're gonna have the same story. It doesn't mean someone watching is gonna have the same story. So I try to be representational, but I also try to like let people put their own story into my art. That's about the best I got.
Yeah. So you did mention that you had a written part last year, and like this year was more different from other people's, because you know there was like more written. And you're talking about like the research. So how will that work?
This one was much harder to do. Last year was a lot easier to be like, all right, I know that I'm like researching, I'm creating this computer science simulation project. I'm working through this whole process. I have these deadlines for when I want my paper to turn in. You don't have that deadline. You just know that all of your art has to be done. So whether that's like, I could have done just a single photogram trail and that would have been enough, but I decided to do 4 different pieces. And so like trying to decide the fields that it is in art when you don't necessarily have that advisor. So this one's gonna keep writing about it. I'm gonna keep.
So in terms of like photography, do you have any like inspirations that you really?
I grew up surrounded by photography. I grew up at the county fair with photography around. Photography is everywhere around me, so every time I just keep.
Artists, I know it's like a lot of like personal point of like your vision is not seen by others in the way that you are. It's a difficult setup for other ISs, it's described, your creativity is like more factual. So how does it differ in art?
Yeah, so I definitely struggled with like, I had my idea and my whole piece is trying to show like what the capital way.
And we wanted to ask like, how can people or when can people come and see this?
Yeah, so the Senior IS Art Exhibit show for all 10 of our wonderful seniors is going to be today, 4 to 6 p.m. in the Cecil Gallery of Ebert. We're going to have cupcakes to stop on by. We will all be here to ask questions and give little artist statements.
Awesome, thank you so much for
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Have a great IS day.
Thank you. We're going.
So we're about to meet another senior. Her name is. Let's go.
That way?
This way.
All right, Jordan. I'm a freshman, so you know this whole ice thing is quite new to me.
It's new to you.
I don't really know how it works.
Okay.
You know, I'm still learning about it, but you're a senior. How does it feel? How did ice go for you? What was your topic?
Right. So my topic was building a career as a content creator, making an impact in the creator economy.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked about all the ways that content creators are using their platforms to, one, build businesses for themselves, and then two, create social change in the world. And when I came into senior year, I had no idea about senior independent study. Like you hear, like you have to do this huge research project, but you don't know what that looks like. So when I came in, I had this idea for like this huge project, and I wanted to do something creative with my project. So alongside my written portion, I also built a website. So I came in, I had this huge idea, and I didn't know what to do. And the first thing that happens is you get paired with an advisor. And your advisor really sits you down, and my advisor, her name is Jennifer Hayward.
Yeah.
So she sat me down and she was like, okay, just tell me all your thoughts, everything that you want to do. And then we're gonna create an action plan from there. We're gonna see like what's reasonable, maybe what's something that you could leave out, but we're gonna really narrow our focus. So so we sat down the first day and I just threw out like everything that I was interested in. I'm interested in social media marketing and like content creators and influencers. So I also create content on social media, and that's like a huge thing that influenced my project. So I wanted to take my own experience and also research the experience of other content creators. So my professor was really on board with everything, and from there you just like start your research. So we got someone on the bike.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So good.
Also, let's just say like it's a beautiful day
Right.
for senior symposium. Like the sun's out, great
So
weather.
I'm definitely into marketing and like the whole media thing myself.
For sure.
But I think I'm kind of torn between like having that as a hobby and just because I also have like a lot of love for business and like all like the like econ and all that. So how will the research work in the media? I don't know how my views are back and forth. Like I'm still a freshman, so thinking about it, but
for sure.
I think about it.
Of my major is that visual research is just as, I guess, like STEM majors and other but my department, we believe like going out and doing interviews or capturing stories on camera. Academic setting, your passions and your interests can definitely be incorporated. And then a huge argument of my independent study is that this world of like marketing and like social media, it's like a legitimate industry. And there's like lots of money to be made and like lots of opportunities and lots of ways you can create change in the world. So in terms of like how can you incorporate this in your future, I would say like whatever you're passionate about, lean into that passion and ask the right questions, try to meet the right advisors, because here at the College of Wooster, it really is like a great community in terms of advisors who want to help you out and they want to work with you. They want you to execute your vision so that you can pursue the career of your dream. Do you know like what you're gonna be majoring in? Like,
so I came in like hoping to major in econ.
okay.
And like initially, I was thinking about just going to a business school and just doing business.
Right.
But then I found out like I learned more about like liberal arts colleges.
For sure.
So it was just like an easy or good way for me to learn about new things and like discover other things, and it helped me like reconnect to my passion, that's like photography and videography as well.
Oh, for sure.
So like I know like especially in these colleges you never stop learning, you always learning about new things. So what's something that like unexpected that you learned in your senior year with like
That's a great question. What's something unexpected I've learned? Well, for instance, I really love like going to college here because you're able, as a liberal arts college, you're able to take different classes that really interest you that don't necessarily pertain to what you're studying.
Yeah.
So this year I decided to take a class, Intro to Entrepreneurship, and I've just been learning all about like startups and like how do you start a business for yourself. So I don't know, I think that's something that I talk about all the time, is that entrepreneurship class, and it has like nothing to do with my major. So,
yeah.
But I do love what you said, like even outside of college, real life careers, and like you can learn from any experience.
Right.
Yeah. Anything, so.
Well, thanks, Jordan. And we're here with Caitlin.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, so my name is Caitlin Dennis. I'm a senior environmental geoscience major and German studies minor from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. So Caitlin, can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Yes, so my IS was called Climatological Analysis of Recent Pluvial Conditions in Northeast Ohio and Implications for Water Management. So climate change in northeastern Ohio is characterized by a pluvial or wet period. So we were looking to see what was causing increased precipitation in the area.
Okay, so for some non-STEM majors, can you like give us a little bit?
Non-STEM explanation?
Yes.
Sure. So climate change, we think of sea level rise or drought, but in Northeast Ohio, climate change, we traditionally see that in increased precipitation. So using climate modeling, I ran statistical analyses to see what the driver was of that precipitation by looking at climate indices.
So, what pushed you to choose that topic? Well, like any like factors that influenced your decision?
Yeah. So I am a member of the Earth Sciences department, but I don't traditionally like geology. I was very much more attracted to climate. And in my first course in the Earth Sciences department, we saw a figure of the precipitation record in Ohio and how it was increasing over time, and we didn't know what was causing it. And so when it came time to pick a topic for IS, that's what I wanted to research, and I would say that's what drove it, just a figure that I had seen in class.
So do you plan on continuing this research outside of the College of Wooster?
Yeah, so my IS also had a technical component, which was looking at stormwater management, which is becoming a critical aspect of society's functioning as we're receiving more rainwater annually. And I'm hoping to apply that more technical side to the job field as municipalities and cities hire stormwater engineers to kind of mitigate the impacts of increased stormwater flows.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Sounds good. So what do you hope that people learn from your IS? What message you kind of like want to like the world, like the Wooster community to
and not what we had hoped for. And so by taking a more technical real world application approach, I feel like my science was very easy to understand as it has implications on our everyday lives. And I really felt that because sometimes IS can be intimidating. You don't really understand people's ISs in different departments. And so I tried to make it approachable, and it was more the science, the communication of science to the broader audience.
Okay, so speaking of IS, can you tell us a little bit about the process, like writing a senior independent study?
Right, so I had very strict deadlines for myself because my advisor was going on leave for this semester, so I worked extra hard to get my IS done in the fall semester, so I was able to have his mentorship while he was here on campus. I started working on it. It was a continuation of my junior IS, but I worked on it over the summer, and after I had done the data analysis part, it was basically just writing and editing, and I was able to produce an abstract for presentation at a scientific conference in the winter, so that was kind of my process. Yeah, kind of sped up, but it was definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, you did touch on a few things I just wanted to ask you. What part of it was more exciting for you? Was it the research? Was it going out to?
Her part was probably going to a scientific conference. So I presented at AGU, that's the American Geophysical Union's annual meeting in Chicago, and it was the first time I felt like a scientist,
Yeah.
like to have people appreciate your work and be interested, and you know the most about it. Technical aspect to a conference that was predominantly very science heavy and was focused more on like analytical methods, to have like that real world component, and you know, have a title like "It's Getting Wetter in Wooster." It kind of like grabs people's attention,
Right.
and so it's a good conversation starter. And then you
Yeah.
can say, using science, you know, I was able to apply it to this real world issue. It was really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of conversation starters, you just got done with orals, right?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about it. Was it nerve-wracking? All that fun stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
so orals was a little bit nerve-wracking. I wasn't really sure what to expect. My second reader and advisor had just given me a list of like basic questions, like what were your methods and what were any challenges, but then there were certain times where there were questions you couldn't answer, like
Yeah.
how to derive an equation that you use that you just can't prepare because you don't know they're going to ask you for that. So it was nerve-wracking, but I passed. It was all good. It's an intimidating process, but ultimately, you know it. You're the one who knows it the best,
Right.
so you can do it.
Yeah. Did you mention how you got some help from your advisor? So how was it? What was it like working with your advisor? How much help do you think? What do you think you learned the most from them?
Yeah. So obviously, Wooster is known for its mentorship.
Right.
And I had the chance to work with the first professor I'd ever taken a class with at Wooster, all the way through my career, and then ultimately finish it off with IS. So it was really great to see like my evolution as a scientist, and to have somebody else recognize that in the process. But as far as like our meeting schedule went, I didn't have set deadlines. It was a very like collaborative relationship where if I ran it time, and so I needed to produce things to provide at our next meeting, but I loved my advisor so much, and it was just great being able to work with him this whole time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now that IS is wrapping up, what does the rest of your semester look like?
The rest of my semester, Camp Woo, have been. So
Is it
I turned my IS in the first day I could this semester. I got number 3. So
Wow.
That's exciting.
I've been in Camp Woo for a while,
Yeah.
but what's next? Hopefully trying to find a job in the next 3 weeks. I have a backup plan in case, but grad school is on hold for now because I want to get some real world experience with my more technical knowledge. But yeah, looking for jobs, enjoying a little bit of the summer. Yeah.
So what type of jobs are you looking for?
So I'm specifically looking for jobs as an environmental geologist. So this might be working in the construction industry or for environmental consulting firms. I'm looking at science communication jobs like outreach coordinators, say for like National Geographic or other publishers and stuff like that. So I'm really open to any opportunity. I've had a few interviews, but fingers crossed something will still work out. Yeah.
How do you think your whole IS experience is going to help you, has helped you grow as a person?
Yeah, definitely. So I feel like at Wooster, IS kind of feels a little bit not special because everybody around you is doing it at the same time. Because you're basically producing a thesis, which is what some people don't do until they have like a master's project.
Right.
And so you already have that edge. You can show that you have great technical writing skills and independent research skills. And so, I mean, the IS process really prepares you well for whatever comes. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin, thank you so much for talking
Thank
to us
you.
today.
Thank you.
We hope you have a great rest of your symposium.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you. So how much can you relate to Caitlin in her research, or maybe like, you know, in the whole writing process, maybe your advisor?
Yeah, so what she said, like there was a lot of things I was relating to in terms
Yeah.
of like she gave herself strict deadlines, and I'm a type A person. Like I need to know like what I'm doing and when. So I also gave myself strict deadlines to just help manage this huge project. And then also she was talking about loving her advisor and working with her advisor. And I would say that working with my advisor was like a great experience too, because she really helped me narrow down. I was all over the place in terms of what I wanted to do. So I really like that like close relationship that you're able to form.
Thank you.
For sure. All right, guys, we're headed into the library to see more presentations. All right, so in here, there's seniors. They're also doing Symposium.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming. I'm sorry for the technical wonderful presenters today. First one is minor. Her research is about, the title is screening. And so, and I was just coming until then. All right, and then we will talk about.
As you heard, my name is Audrey and I'm a theater major. So and how they change to stage. So movies to stage, books to adaptation. So what I decided to do was take, she was a playwright focus and she allowed me to use it. And I apologize if it's not. Movie.
This. Daisy, look! Bragging all day. I wasn't bragging. What makes you think we're gonna find anything? Yeah. Bottles aren't treasure, Daisy. Ducks. This isn't what I wanted to. So. Guess. You guess? It's that back. It's not yours. You know what, Madison? She doesn't really have Spider-Man on it, and Mom says the Swiss watches are helping me. I don't have a shovel. Well, I don't have one. I don't want to do this anyway. It's not my fault you didn't. I told you I don't want to do this. Fine. Fine. But you can't have any of the treasure I find. You aren't going to find anything. I will. You shouldn't take that. It's not yours. And she's gonna be here for. Stephanie broke my skateboard with her hands. Don't tell my dad. Dad. Okay. Put that back. What the heck? For a whole month. I'm sorry. I don't know. Whatever we like, I guess.
How was that, Jordan?
It can be visual, like we saw artists and that you might not know coming in freshman year.
Right.
Like you hear read a long paper.
Thank you.
But that's not necessarily true. Yeah, so it's like you can really do what captivates you, what inspires you. So where are we headed to next, Levi?
We are headed to the Scott Center. They have a bunch of presentations over there as well, posters. So pretty excited to see what they have there, yeah.
Awesome. And as we head over there, I just want to talk about IS Monday. So
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know what IS Monday is, it is the day that all seniors officially turn in their independent study projects.
Right.
And it's a really fun day because first, when you're ready to submit your project, you text all your friends, you're like, hey, I'm submitting at this time. So it could be like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. You're like, meet me there. So you go there and you turn in the cover page of your independent study. And then you ring the bell. And when you ring the bell, everyone's cheering.
Yeah, I've been to a couple.
Yeah, how was it? Like,
pretty good. Like,
from your perspective?
Because I'm a freshman, you know, it's all new to me. And I just see the relief almost. Like the seniors just turning in their eyes. It's just like a lot of emotions. Because they're leaving, they're done, you know, and they're happy to be done. But, you know, just a lot of mixed emotions.
For sure.
Do you think there's like pressure on seniors that don't turn in the IS, like by IS Monday?
Right. So with independent study, of course, some take longer than others.
Right.
So it's very flexible here. So there's no pressure to turn it in on IS Monday. That's just like the official day of declaration that everyone usually turns it in by. But if your project extends past that, you're still able to turn it in later. And you still get celebrated later. And a really cool tradition we have is when you turn in your independent study, you get a giant Tootsie Roll. So I got my Tootsie Roll this year and I was just like throwing it up in the air, taking pictures. So it's a really fun tradition that we have here at Wooster.
Yeah, when I was applying to Wooster and I saw like tutorials, I was like, what is this? You know? And I didn't know about the IS. Yeah. So I must say it was pretty exciting to learn about. I think this year I'm learning more about how flexible you can be with your IS.
Yeah.
I used to think you have to write like this 70-page paper and sit down like for hours, you know.
For sure.
Everybody tells me like 1 page a day, and you know.
Yeah.
that's my commitment, so yeah.
It is, but one thing that I didn't realize that I do now that I've completed my IS is that like even though you're doing research, it's something that you're interested in, you're fascinated in. So research doesn't necessarily feel like research because you're just like so enthralled by like what you're studying. So,
how do you think you grew as a person during the whole process? Do you think you're doing anything differently, or like do you wish you did some things differently maybe?
So how I grow as a person, I think that's like a fascinating question because I really did see myself grow.
Yeah.
When I first started writing my IS, I was intimidated by the magnitude of it. But like now that I've completed it, I've realized like I have the ability to take a large project and to section it off little by little and to complete it. So I learned that. I also feel like I've learned a lot about research. So within my independent study, I was focused a lot on like facts and just like more research type things. But my advisor actually told me to incorporate my own story into my independent study. So I realized like I could be more creative even with the writing part of my independent study. So like throughout my project, there's like short little anecdotes of personal stories that I've been through or stories that like friends I've had have been through, incorporated with research. So yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I'm able to accomplish so much after.
How do you feel now?
It is a like load off your shoulder because as I said, it's a huge project. So to be done, it's like, wow, I'm done. And then to be able to present it to the world or present it to like future schools you're applying to or future job opportunities, it's an amazing feeling. You're like, hey, look, I did this thesis in undergraduate school. Hire me.
Exactly.
So it's a really cool experience to have.
Any tips for freshmen? You know, should we be thinking about our IS right now? Do we have time? You know?
So as a freshman, I would say right now just focus on exploring what you're interested in. IS will come senior year, so you don't necessarily need to worry about that right now. But yeah, so we have just gotten here to the Scott Center, and inside we're gonna have seniors who are presenting posters of what they've done for their senior IS. So we're just gonna walk around, see what people have done, and ask them questions. So ready to go?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, what are you hoping to see over there? Do you have any expectations?
I have no idea what I'm going to see, but I just know that there's going to be so many cool projects. So I'm just interested to see people outside of my major, what they've done, what they've researched, and just to talk to a few friends. So let's go. And as you can see, the gym is packed out with different presentations. So this is exciting.
Oh, it's just like this. It's like a science fair. I've never even done this.
All right, so here we are. I don't really know what to expect, so I'm excited to see what people have to show us.
I'm so excited.
George Card. Eric. The man, the myth, and the legend. So, how are you?
We're here at the Congress to a live stream.
Oh my God.
You're live. Can you tell us a little bit about your live?
Oh, sure, I'm happy to. Hi, everyone. So my name is Erickson Anadadfo. I'm a senior here at the College of Wooster, and I'm a biochemistry major. Now, this poster basically highlights my research on exploring the binding multiplicity mode of inhibition and communication between NADH binding sites on NIC. Now, NIC is basically an enzyme that is involved in degrading toxins within our environment. So we're thinking of things like pharmaceutical drugs, pesticides, herbicides, pharmaceutical dyes. All of these things are actually toxic to our environment. They're toxic, carcinogenic, and mutagenic to organisms that consume them. And when I say organisms, I mean human beings, I mean you and I mean ecosystems. So actually studying this protein or this enzyme can help us understand how we could degrade and break down these toxic environments at a much faster rate. So my research basically worked with this enzyme on trying to understand how the mechanism behind the enzyme works and the function of the enzyme. And most of the results that I obtained were actually promising. So I'm not sure how it would be able to go, but that's basically what my research was on.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations with finishing IS.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for telling us about your project.
Of course. Thank you for stopping by.
Sure. All right, let's go.
Get results back and everything. So I was very happy.
Oh my god. You remember Sabrina? Sid says I know.
250, you can see this. It's kind of hitting the lens. You can have
I did answer this. Yeah, so there were a couple of takeaways from my project. Number one is which then spiraled into this controversy of whether or not we're responsible for environmental waste in our places. Should we, at the state level, should we? And then they had 20 minutes of working with clay. So they would either color or art.
He's on spring break, so.
Alright, Levi.
How was that, Jordan?
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us for Snapshots for Symposium, where we got to see what we're doing here at the College of Wooster. Make sure you come to Symposium. It lasts till 4, and then head over to the art museum after to see the art exhibits.
We hope you learned a lot. You know, you're able to understand how the whole IS process works here at Wooster. We encourage you to find out more. Just, you know, come around, go to the different stations and have fun.
All right, thanks guys. Bye.